Welcome to the Oh So Spurs podcast. Well, that was a pretty bruising defeat that felt like first place took on 16th place in the league, and the result kind of went. And on top of that, one team had a title to play for, and the other one had, should we say, pride to play for. I think it kind
Do we
of.
still have pride?
Well, I don't think so after that. Not until Thursday, anyway. Yeah, it was kind of a result you almost expected it, but you just like, please don't do this to me. Like, please show just a load of fight and come out of that, even if we're going to
Yeah.
lose it with
I,
like
I,
just a 1 or 2 goal defeat. You know what I mean?
I think what made it worse was the Sky commentary were just so pro Liverpool. I mean, when their first goal was confirmed as standing, I mean, you could almost hear the bloke, exploding in his pants. He was just so excited about it, and you're just like, dude, at least show a little less impartial, a little more impartiality. But yeah,
Yeah. I don't know how Liverpool do it. They go into games where they are like beyond favourites. Like that game, like you got to think we're 16th from their first, so they're obviously massive favourites. It's at Anfield. They never lose at Anfield.
yep, we
They
never win
are
there.
purring good form, and like somehow they create an atmosphere around a game that this is like a magical thing if they pull it off.
Yeah.
And I just don't get how they do it over. And then when they score, it's like everyone's just like you said, this pants are exploding all over the place. Like, how have they done it? How have they done it? It's like you were the third richest club in the league is just blown away a
Yeah.
club in disarray.
You're not
It's not a
you're not
miracle.
Leicester.
No, you pretty much blew away a Leicester right
Yeah.
now. But yeah, and just
No.
just quick shout
Not
out to
yeah.
Nolan. Good to see you. Jelly Bean. Oh, lovely to see you back in 2 in a row, mate. Stu through thick and thin. Yes, Stu and I, we were like, we're not bailing. You know, you can't just turn up when things are going well and then be like, oh, where's everyone gone? So
I,
we're in it. We're in the tough times together too.
yeah, we're not fair weather fans, that's for sure.
No, my today I saw Ozzy Ardiles, Mickey Hazard, and Pascal Chimbonda and Sandro in the flesh playing my local village team, which was fun.
And David Howells.
And David Howes. And there were many others that were just before my time, so I kind of didn't know. But it was really cool because there's only like 20, 30 people there. Well, more than that, probably about 50 or 60 watching them. So it was pretty cool. But where's it going with this? My uncle, who's the season ticket holder for he's 70 now, so his whole life has been massive Spurs, said, bar the relegation, this is the lowest he's felt. I was like, I felt lower in my 25 years, but it is pretty tough right now.
This is my, and I've been supporting since 86, 87. This is the lowest season I've ever had following Spurs.
Really?
It's just defeat
Even with the
after
semi we've got coming up.
I mean, if we win it, it changes. But at the moment, it's just defeat after defeat after defeat, and you just can't see anything changing. And that's the worst thing. It's just every game, every goal we concede just seems like deja vu. It's like, yep, seen that before. Seen that cross at the far post we haven't done. Yep, seen one pass split the entire defense open. Yep, I've seen Vic hit an awful pass putting defense in trouble. It's just, shocking, to be honest.
It's been. I think it's been the toughest year I've ever had to watch for the league, but weirdly one of the best for the cups. But the league make up 80% of your time and happiness following
I
the
don't
team.
know about you, but even the cups. I mean, how many games in the cups have really been amazing?
Yeah, I get that. I don't think it's been like, oh my gosh, we're going into cups and blowing teams away, but I don't think that
like, if
really
you think
happens.
About the Champions League run, we had the amazing kind of got through the groups by the skin of our teeth. The Dortmund game, which was amazing, the Man City game at home, the Ajax, comeback. There were things throughout the entire cup run that kind of kept you on the edge of your seat, kind of excited you. Here it's okay. We beat AZ. There's nothing really that sticks out for me.
It's I get that. I get that. Even though the Champions League, though, at the same time, it was brilliant, but it was also quite lucky.
No, it was lucky. I'm 100%. I'm not
Yeah.
disputing that. I mean, the City game away, the Ajax game home and away, where they hit the woodwork, I don't know, numerous times.
The Champions League run felt a bit like we were the Leicester City of that Premier League season. In reflection, it was a bit like, we know we're not the best team in this, particularly not on our current form, because we had kind of, with the downward trajectory had started, and we thought this is the last hurrah. If we pull this off, it's the Pochettino legacy cemented as an amazing one, and it buys him 3 or 4 years patience to go rebuild the whole thing. But if we lose it, it's over, and the rebuild begins. And that was 6 years ago, and we're still rebuilding. But just quickly shout out to some of the other comments. Gerard, yes, exactly. Bad times and worse. There's that. Is it Mick McCarthy? Is that his name? The old Wolves manager?
Yeah.
And they say, it can't get worse. And he says, it can. In that northern accent. I think that's what this season's been like for us at times. Levy, that's Dan. Yeah, we can dream on. Do I think we might bet the Hotspur Hood? I don't think it's looking likely. If I could bet against myself, at the start of the season, the bet was basically, would Ange last the season? And I said yes, and he said no. And whoever loses will donate £100 to a charity of the other one's choice.
Last the season or start next season?
Last the season.
I think you'll last the season. I still think you're
it depends. If we go out of against Glimt, I think.
What are they going to do? Sack us with 2 games left? I mean, they're not going to sack him with 2 games left.
Yeah, true. To be honest, though, I think in fairness of that bet, I would just, even if I won it, I'd just be like, look, let's just call it null and void, because it isn't like I'm coming out of that doing "ha, told you so." I'm coming out of that saying, could have gone either way.
If you win silverware,
if we win silverware, I'll hold it. I'll stick to it. I'll stick to my guns. Yeah. But no, it's not like, if I'm right, it's like a real ha, is it? It's,
no. Get well, Sean.
Where's Sean? There he is. Sean the Gooner said, thank you very much. Hi guys. You're in bed with flu. Nightmare, mate. I hope you feel better soon. That's a shocker. God, only Tottenham could do that to you, couldn't they? Give you flu on your Sunday, serve you up a dinner like that. That was tough. That was tough. I'm sure not a single Spurs fan wants us to lose to Man City last season. And when he's like, yes, true. On reflection, I look back at that game now. I don't know about you, Stu, and I'm like, we were in a comfortable enough position to behave that way that now I'd never take any game for granted. I don't care about Arsenal do anymore.
No,
that's gone now. That mentality of mine. I just want to win Spurs.
Ange was spot on with that. It was just, referring to what we, our chat in the group chat during the game, that I don't think we have a loser mentality, but we certainly don't have a winning culture.
And that's so true.
Yeah, because we didn't make so many top 4s and overachieve versus the size of our turnover, etc., by having a losing culture. So I think anyone saying that we have a losing culture is wrong. But there's a big difference between not having a losing culture and having a winning culture, and we do not have that thing that gets us over the edge.
I quite agree. I do agree. It's like there's always the argument of we're losers or we're or not, but I don't think we're any different to an Aston Villa or who else. We're not like losers and they're all winners, but a handful of clubs have that winning mentality. Like Real Madrid, they can come 2nd or 3rd in the Liga and they'll just keep winning the Champions League.
Yeah.
They're not even in the top 5 teams in the world on a season, and they'll just pull it out.
Exactly.
It's just different, isn't it?
And even Man U. I mean, everyone's laughing at Man U. 2 cups in 2 years. This could be. I mean, let's call it. They could make it 3 in 3 years by beating us in the final. And would you put your house on us beating them in the final if it was us against them?
No, they've got that mentality of getting over. Well,
exactly.
I don't know if mentality is the right word. It's a knowing how to do it, because a lot of people in the building have done it numerous times,
it's
and
just belief.
It's the
they
belief.
Just expect it.
Yeah, exactly. I know, we've lost, Thomas, so the worst side ever kind of feeling is there. I don't think it's the worst side ever. I think but I think you've got a point echoing within that the squad is nowhere near as good as we thought it was.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of those senior players we were like, oh, they're still good. I think that was a bit of copium. Like I just think a lot of them aren't that good. But we have got some very good players in there.
I think though, again, you don't need to have world beaters. You need to have a system that works. And I think Ange hasn't adapted his style enough for the players that he has, because we should not be getting beaten. I mean, how many goals did we concede against Liverpool this season?
Oh, it must be 11 in the 2 league games, right?
Yeah, 11-2. I mean, I'm sorry, but that is unacceptable. You can lose, but there's losing with some dignity. I mean, losing 6-3 and 5-1 is just ridiculous.
Sorry, say against you.
I said losing 6-3 and 5-1 is just ridiculous. I mean, there's no excuse.
Yeah. It's
and even if you play your second string, again, I don't think anybody. Okay, let's go back to the game. We've won once in the last 30 years up there, so anyone expecting us anyway to win would be unrealistic. Secondly, they're playing to win a title, so they were going to win. But then you look at the lineup and you're thinking, this really isn't giving us our best chance.
I do though, and I don't like to, because when I have to defend a little bit of the lineup selection.
I agree. The lineup made sense.
Yeah. I think there's been so many times this season where, and it's like, you can argue it's your own making because of the position we're in, which is partially down to our own making, right? It's a damned if you do and damned if you don't scenario over and over again that we keep getting ourselves in, because when you're so low in the league, everyone has the mentality of, well, just strike it off. There's nothing to play for. But then we all still, when the defeat inevitably comes, when we do that, it still hurts. It still makes the manager's position less stable. It still knocks the players confident. It still takes out momentum of the team. Even though, so you're like, okay, we're doing the right thing in a way and just going all in on the Europa League. I think that is the right move, but 100%. It doesn't. But it's also damned if you do and damned if you don't. And with caveats with bad luck, that I think we got our squad back, and the last thing you want is Chelsea and Liverpool away in quick succession.
Yeah,
that is like the last thing you want, and you get both. You get served both, and that is brutal.
I was expecting us to lose. The lineup, I agree, made sense because Thursday's far more important. The last thing we'd want is Mickey Romero to play and do another hamstring or whatever. I do think playing Gray in midfield was a mistake in a kind of a makeshift team. But again, I was expecting us to lose. I'm not upset that we lost. I just am disappointed about how we don't ever seem to be able to put up a fight, and we always look so disorganized. And the gulf in class shouldn't be that evident. If we were, even if it is our second string, we shouldn't be getting beaten 5-1. That's the only thing that I think.
Yeah, we shouldn't in any normal world, but it's just such a weird season. There's no way as well. Like, I think we know, and you've seen all the interviews, Vicario's come out and defended Ange like so many times, that like the majority of the players are behind him. But there's no way you can be 16th and every player still be behind you. Like, there's going to be loads of players who aren't getting the game time they think they deserve. They're not in the form they think they deserve. Spurs aren't in a position that gets them all their bonuses and makes them look good and all that kind of stuff. They're going to be unhappy. And I feel like then when you have to throw those players into a starting lineup and say, go on, protect my reputation, protect your own reputation and get out there and do something at Anfield. But you're expecting too much. It's not going to happen.
Who out of started today would you say that applies to?
I think that's a good point, actually. Who do we have?
Biss, I would agree, but Biss didn't even come on as a sub.
Yeah, true. I think Solanke will play for Ange fully. I think Davies would play for the manager could be bloody I don't know. It could be literally anyone. It could be Tim Sherwood, and he would play his heart out. Danso, like he's model pro. Spence
I mean,
I don't
look,
know, but
you go through every single one of the players who starts it today. I don't think there's anyone that applies to.
yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, but still, I don't know. I I think it's very hard to motivate a squad for a game like that today.
Oh, I agree. I think it's when you've lost 18 games in the league, everybody knows that they're basically expected just to show up, and Liverpool are going to be, given the trophy. So I think also that everyone knows Thursday's the big one, but then you expect some of the players to maybe put up a bit of a fight to kind of show that maybe they should get the nod on Thursday. I don't know. It's just disappointing. That's all. Just very, very disappointing.
Yeah. So some other questions quickly. Marshall Cups, Tamworth. Yeah, but like, I don't really get that argument. Like the Tamworth thing. Like you go back to the Poch here, and we did this already. We went over. We thought we'd go back and like properly revise history. Went out to Coventry with the team that made the Champions League final with Poch. We went out to Ghent over 2 legs when we had an easy, in inverted commas, run at the Europa League. Like, and Poch was a good manager with a great squad and all that stuff. Like we were a really good side. The cups are weird. The cups very rarely, aside from the League Cup and Man City, winning it like 5 years in a row, whatever at one point. They don't typically just follow a path of like everyone beating who they should be. There's massive upsets every year. That's why everyone loves those cups.
Yeah.
So need to get Levy out the cup. Well, we've just got this new CEO in for football. He's not going anywhere, Levy. So you're just wasting your own energy and everyone else's around you if you're just going to keep shouting that, because the guy has billions and billions of dollars to make by selling Tottenham Hotspur at the time that's right for him. It was a 20 million quid investment, whatever, for him at the start. He's not going to walk away because of some yellow flags. And that's not a dig at Change of Tottenham. They're doing a great job, but you're not going to get Daniel Levy to walk away over a protest. The whole stadium could not turn up tomorrow on Thursday, and I still don't think you'd be getting rid of Daniel Levy.
But also, I mean, yes, the season's a disaster, but okay, if we're back next season to our top 6, does everything will suddenly change? I mean, I just find this reactionary, one bad season and it's already always, Levy out, and then back to the top 4, top 5, and everything's fine again. So
exactly. It all follows results at the end of the day.
exactly.
And that's it's not protecting Levy. Like I'm not happy with 16th. It's not good.
No.
He's made lots of bad decisions, but I don't know if you saw like so much of it is just exaggerated hysteria because of where we are in the league. And you look at the boxing last night, right? People were saying, oh, it's lost its soul. There's nothing to do with football. He mandated that the media companies call us Tottenham Hotspur, and the cameras were like panning in on the cockerel at the top of the stadium. There was all this focus on promoting the football club on a global stage, which I thought really put a lot of that kind of thinking to bed for me. That I don't see that. I don't see a guy who's like, I hope we don't win anything because I have to raise the wage bill. I just don't see. I see a guy who's like, if I could sustainably build this into some financial diverse organization that can outmaneuver everyone else because it's got so many diverse income streams, and also sell part of it to a super rich entity with loads of cash and build it around all the financial regulations to be better set than everyone else, we could take over and we could smash it. And my assets can be worth so much money that I'm going to become like seen as one of the best investors of all time and cash out of this with tens of billions, which everyone thought was unthinkable. I think that's Levy's thinking. Winning helps him. It doesn't make
exactly.
It
worse. That's always been what I've said. I don't think he's made great football decisions. I don't think he knows that much about football, but his whole idea is for us to succeed on the pitch, because then the value of the club goes up, and then his 30% becomes worth a lot more. So it's in his best interest for us to succeed.
Absolutely, but he wants us to succeed. He's always got like a 10-year plan to get there. It's never. I think that's what people struggle with. It's never like a how do we get there now. It's never like a let's just pull the trigger on and just throw 90% of our revenue at wages and just go for it like Villa are doing. And if it doesn't work, we suffer. Just go for it.
But he doesn't have the money to do it.
He does. He doesn't. But he could, if he wanted to put the club at risk of it failing and us falling foul of the rules, he could push it further.
But wouldn't he have to get approval from someone else to be able to do that?
Yes, because he's a minority shareholder. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going down the leave it rabbit hole.
Yeah, sorry.
I know it's cope if we go out in Europe, give Mason. I don't see any way in which the club part ways for 2 games to go, like Stu said earlier. I just think it would just be pointless. Even if, like, for the sake of it, even if Ange didn't turn up to the touchline, I think they're just technically leaving as manager until the end of the season. Like, it's so nearly over. You see out the Europa League, and then he just has another week as manager. New CEO comes in, meets him, makes his decision.
Yeah,
and then-
exactly.
yeah.
I mean, where's the added value in Mason, or even Mason isn't even the assistant manager. I can't remember the name of is it Wells? It just doesn't make any sense. I think in the summer, the CEO comes in and hopefully, he's proved he does know how to make decisions at a football level, and we can move forward. I mean, in an ideal world, Ange lifts silverware and the mood around the club is completely different.
Yeah. If we win the Europa, the next big debate is, do we persevere with this project or start a new one? I think that people are going to speculate over that, but I really think it's going to come down to what the new CEO wants to do. I thought Andrew was going to walk, but having spoken to people who have followed him at his other clubs, they're like, not likely.
Really?
They think his mentality will be, I still fully back myself to turn this around, and I'd rather go out swinging.
I can imagine him just saying, kind of looking at the media and the press and everybody else and saying, look, I told you I'd win silverware. I've lifted silverware. You didn't believe me. I'm going to go find a club that does trust me.
Yeah, the feedback I had from the fans in Australia who follow the pod, and we get along really well with them, who followed the Ange. We've got lots of Ange and Tottenham fans, but we also do obviously have some people who are openly, just following Ange and predominantly, and they've actually found our fan base quite difficult to gel with. They think that as much as many would see that as a cop out, so would Ange. They would see it as like, that's not the Australian fighter way. That is a guy trying to escape a difficult situation, where his mentality would be, you're going to have to kick me out if you want to get rid of me, because I've won a trophy and I'm here to win.
But how do they justify him walking away from Australia then?
That was apparently his relationship with the country is a bit different and a bit more personal. That he's got this like big vision about how Australian football should be run, and those above him completely disagree with him. And there was more to it. Apparently, it's a lot more toxic.
That's kind of the politics, though, right? I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
Aussie idealist says Lee. Game of no import. I do agree with that other comment though. That is ultimately it. It's oh, hello, Jack.
All right, big man.
I will come in and give you a cuddle in a minute. I need one too after that. Yeah. Game of no importance. I do agree. Yeah. Sean. First time I detected a broken spirit in the squad in the second half today. Lots of work to do for Thursday. Come on, Ange. Billy, we don't care about Thursday. We were always going to lose. William Romero has won the World Cup. Yeah, it's true. There are winners in the squad. There are winners in the squad. I agree with this comment as well, though. I think our second string team is just a bit rubbish. Like we waxed lyrical about some of them. Like,
who would you say counts as second string then? Apart, I mean, at the back line, you've got Danso and Davis, certainly are second string. Gray in midfield is second string. So that's 3.
Yeah.
And then the rest?
So I think if you look through the squad, I would say, and like, if I'm being really brutally honest and doing this oversimplification assessment of the squad, I think Slanky is a decent player. And this is an example why I don't think Spurs can fix their problems with money, which makes it so hard for Spurs. Because if we have, like we said before, if you say to Spurs, you can go whack £100 million on any player, said player needs to have not been deemed worth that by Madrid, Chelsea, Liverpool, City, PSG, etc., etc., etc. Then, if they're still there, and that agent says to those other clubs, you definitely don't want me, then they will go to Tottenham. And players of that kind of value, they typically should be attracting those clubs if they are good enough for that fee, if they're worth that money. So Solanke's an example of a player where you're like, those clubs, he's not good enough for them, but he's still really good. He's still good. And like, that's what we can get for 50, 60 million quid. But in my eyes, he's like he wouldn't be at a Chelsea or Liverpool or a City, but he's our marquee striker.
Yeah.
And I think we've got 5 or 6. Madison is another.
Yeah. But the worrying thing is that's our first string, not our second string.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. It's a it's really hard to build a squad. It's a lot harder to build a squad for Tottenham than it is for City or Liverpool or Chelsea or.
100%.
It's even harder for, like, if we try to build a squad and you're Newcastle, when the players looking at a club and they're like, well, they're owned by a state, there's only one way this club's going. It's a lot easier to sell the project to a player than it is at a Tottenham. So, like we said this before, if Newcastle stood at Ashley or had any one but a state-owned owner and they went for Tonali and Isaac, they wouldn't have got them. They could offer the exact same money, they would not have got them. They wouldn't have joined.
Agree.
And that just shows the advantage it brings. Because we could have gone for those players and they'd have rejected us, even though we're bigger than Newcastle.
Yeah, 100%.
So, real fan support through thick and thin. We do, Stu. Bet you what, I can't remember what we were saying when we're top 4 there. Do you think Mickey and Romero have been overplayed? No, I don't think so.
They haven't played enough.
Yeah, that's my thoughts. Yeah, they haven't played enough minutes. Yeah. Oh, Stu, you're defending us in the comments. I see. Yeah. Oh, no, defending Ange in the comments. Yes.
People need to vent.
People need to vent. Yeah. Like, I've been in these. We've had these fights, haven't we, Stu, over the years in the pod and stuff. People comments. It's like I know it's different when, and they'll say you're a happy clapper or whatever for not getting involved, but like, you can't blame anyone for being angry when your club's 16th. You can't be like, you're weird for getting angry. You're broken. You're an idiot. You're angry at that. I think it's only stupid when they're making it personal and they're like, Ange is a fat idiot, or, that stuff. That is stupid. But you can't blame anyone for being like, I'm just so fed up. This is unacceptable. I need something to change. I can't deal with this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, you can't turn around to anybody and say, we're having a great season. We're clearly not. So anyone who's upset and frustrated, they're fully within their rights. It's just, a matter of how you vent that. Like I just saw a comment there about saying anyone who thinks we can win a trophy under Ange needs to give their head a wobble. We are literally in a semi-final.
Yeah, exactly. True. Billy says new CEO is a money guy. I did a video on this. You can find it. He's not. I think that's a mix-up in understanding of his role, because at Arsenal, for about 3-year period, he was the head of like their commercial operations, basically. But his role changed and he became more involved with the football, and then he led the football side. And that's when he appointed, I forget the 2 main other people, his director of football and whoever else it was. Edu, and there's another guy.
I can't remember.
Anyway, those they collectively chose Arteta and to stick with this project and all that kind of stuff. So he will. I'm sure he will be the one making the football decisions. But I appreciate though that this is a bunch of fans all speculating with information on the internet.
Yeah,
and we don't know either.
The question is, what's going to happen to Munn?
Yeah, rumors are he's off, isn't it?
Yeah, because you can't really see how he fits in the structure between Lange and the new CEO.
Caswell says, you learn nothing from winning. Have to go through every turmoil with the season is learning. I agree. You learn more from your losses than you do from your wins. But do you remember that mentality went around, like when those teenage influencers took over the internet and the world, and they were like, fail fast, fail fast, fail fast. Like, you could be anything you want. You can drop ship stuff from Alibaba and everyone could be a millionaire. Like, fail fast, learn fast. That's what I do. Every day I make myself fail. that's kind of true, but you do need to fail smart. Like I could fail 100 times a day, and that doesn't necessarily mean it's more productive than me doing 3 things correctly. That
You
day I
need
can still learn doing things right as well.
you need to
There's
learn
a
from your
balance.
mistakes. At a certain point, you
Yeah,
can't just keep failing because otherwise failing becomes a culture as well.
yeah. But at the same time, because I get your point, like I think a lot of these players will be learning and growing from this stuff,
Yeah.
but right now it's gotten so tough in the league. I think there's not much to learn from that game today. Like there was something to learn when it was a huge game when we had something to play for and you lose. I think you learn a lot there, but I think you learn less from a day like today, apart from, yeah, I don't really know what you'd learn today. It was pretty tough. I always thought momentum and positive results and performances were needed to go into Thursday. Instead, only one side looked well coached. They're just far better in every department.
Let's be honest, we did not look well coached
No, we
at
did
all.
not.
And that's the one thing that I do side with the people that are getting more and more frustrated. But again, as we said earlier, people are going in with the mentality of it's only about Thursday, let's not get injured, etc. Whereas the other team is fighting for their lives to win a trophy and for the first time in front of their fans for, was it 30 years?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly. Spending on transfer fees. Oh, and Lina, yes, I hope we win too. I think he's on Thursday. Lina, how am I pronouncing it? Was it meant to say Linda? I don't know. Spending on transfer fees is not normally an indicator of success. Wages spent on players is better. So, the wages versus transfer fee debate, I don't like any debate which is like one or the other. I think the reality is you've got two examples. You could polarize that argument and say Timo Werner was no transfer fee and massive wages, terrible. Lucas Bergvall is on 20 grand a week or whatever,
even less,
and a
like
tiny
10.
fee. Right. Ndombele was high wages and transfer fee, and he was rubbish. Slanky was high transfer fee and low wage. There's examples of all models failing. Ultimately, good recruitment is easier when you've got lots of money, but there is no clear path to success just by the amount you spend. Like Liverpool go through phases of spending a lot and then spending nothing for years because they invest really well with youth. They protect their star players, but they do sell some players at the right time and reinvest it. We're terrible at selling players at the right time, and also holding on to has-been players for too long.
Yeah, I think that's another mistake that Levy made was he got sick and tired of people calling us a selling club, so he held on to players for too long just to kind of disprove that we aren't. Or we should have sold the likes of Ericsson at the right time, Dyer at the right time, Dele at the right time. I mean, there was a list. And we, as you said, we just do not sell well. I mean, the likes of Chelsea selling their reserve players for more than we can sell our first team players. It's just
Exactly. Yeah, they recoup 250 million in sales from that model. So just crazy, and we recouped like 160, but 100 of that was from Kane, or 90 was it from Kane. So
86 came from Kane, Winks, and Sanchez.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Bodo just beat a team 3-0. Yes. Oh, and on the preview pod, Sander's going to join us, by the way, everyone. If you remember, you can view it now, but Sander and I did like a 10-15 minute little interview. Sander lives in Bodo Glimt. He's a Tottenham fan whose second team is Bodo Glimt, so you got lots of information on them there, and he's going to join us for the preview pod probably on Tuesday as well, all about them and why that second leg is going to be really tough. And there's a good reason why they beat Lazio and Roma, and they've had 8 two-legged knockout ties in Europe and won 6 of them.
That's amazing.
So they're a lot better than the reputation in Europe.
Their home record is incredible.
Yeah, it is.
And didn't they beat Celtic as well?
They did, yeah. Thrashed him, and Ange was the manager as well.
Yeah,
they did. Yeah, they did.
But I think that's a good thing because I think he'll have learned from that.
That's an example of where good learning from a defeat. Yeah. I think you'd hope, and I do have some hope that Ange has shown lots of things that he has fixed and learned from and changed when he's gotten criticism for them. The trouble seems to be whenever we change and fix one thing, it seems to create another hole.
Yeah.
Like, do you remember the start of the season, Vicario supposedly couldn't catch and all these set pieces, we patched that up.
Yeah.
And now the same goal seems to happen where we clear it, but we only clear it to a certain part of the box, and then 2 games in a row, it's just been volleyed into the bottom corner.
Yeah, the lack of closing down has been shocking.
Yeah. But should we wrap up there?
Yeah, I was just saying, I think that the main thing, whether it's Ange or anyone else that manages next year, is we need to focus on our midfield, because we're just not protecting the defense and our midfield. Look at it, and there's no real kind of stand. When Bergvall, your 19-year-old, is probably your standout player, you've got issues.
Phil, how the hell are you still defending Ange? I don't know what you're watching or where you're getting like us suddenly thinking we're all defending Ange. We're just not pointing the finger and making it a vitriol thing. That's all because of him, because there is a lot of moving pieces which have led to this moment, and he can't be blamed for all of them, but he can be blamed for some of them. And if you think that's unreasonable, well, fine. I don't care. You can think that's unreasonable. I'm not going to bother arguing with you. As Ross said in his expression, it would be a bit like playing chess with a pigeon. I could beat you, but you're still going to take a dump on the board and strut around the place like you beat me. So I'm not going to argue with you if that's unreasonable.
Anyway, we're going to win 3 or 4-0 on Thursday, and everyone's going to be in a much better mood, and we can start getting ready for packing our sunscreen for Spain.
Yes, exactly. I am buzzing for Thursday, by the way. Can we just change the tempo?
Exactly.
I'm so glad we've got something still to play for.
We have a European Cup semi-final. Not everybody can say that.
A lot of clubs will never get that in their lifetime.
Exactly. And it's our second in 5 years, 6 years.
We win that. Imagine if we pulled it off and we had Champions League football off the back of the season like this.
That'd be the least Spursy thing that ever happened.
It would. The bus parade on the high road.
Can you imagine finishing 17th and qualifying for the Champions League?
Oh. Can you imagine? It would just be hilarious. It would just be brilliant. It would be
amazing.
Yeah. Be lovely. And we're going to preview that all on Tuesday, so make sure you subscribe. Check it out. And by the way, if you're one of the 334 people tuned in right now, 335, please can you hit like really quickly, because then it just boosts us on the algorithm.
Like and subscribe.
I know it's like white noise. People always say that, but just quickly with your mouse and click. Move it up and click. Really, really helps us. And we do exclusive members videos every week. So you want to be a member for just $1.99 a month. That's the best way you can help our show if you want to help us and help us grow it and get more guests on. Talking of which, I'm getting one of the journalists on for Real Betis to cover Cardosa and his influence on their team because he's having a great season. And rumor has it that we have agreed to activate our clause for him.
But doesn't he have to agree, or he doesn't get a choice?
I don't think he gets a choice.
Sweet. That's 1-6 already lined up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and he's having a really good season, so he could be an exciting signing in the door the second the transfer window opens, which would be class.
Yeah,
so that'd be really good. Anyway, Stu, better go give my son that hug. Yes. I need the hug more than him.
I think we all
after
do.
That defeat. But roll on Thursday. Who cares? Sometimes you will, sometimes you won't. Who cares? Who's next? Let's go.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.